two kind of hot issues that are going on right now that I just kind of want to address. We are being bombarded, and I'm sure you all are as board members, with everybody and their mom conducting investigations into the district's practices. And understand that many times people, whether it's a media outlet or a parent or someone, anything brought to us as a district, we take it very seriously. I met with Ms. Stewart today, and we've gone through item after item after item of concerns that people have sent in or talked about. And so I know there's an issue out there now related to someone doing an investigation, an informal, I guess, investigation about payroll and placement sheets. Let me say to you that a placement sheet does not determine the amount of hours typically that an employee may have actually worked. What it does is it designates that that person is going to be available. And I know Ms. Broussard, you probably taught summer school, and once you were hired, they filled out a placement sheet of which you potentially could have earned whatever that amount of money was. However, there should be some triangulation as to what that person particularly earned. In some cases, our employees are what we call professional level employees. Even though our teachers are professionals, there's a different level of responsibility if you are managing the program. And some of our people actually manage 2, 3, 4 projects during the summer. And particularly, you're not necessarily paying them by the hour, you're actually paying them to take care of that program, of which we eventually pay by the hour. But for instance, if you're the principal in charge of a program or the program administrator, you may be the program administrator for a special program related to students, and then in turn you may do supervisory writing for curriculum, of which you may be doing those things, sometimes 2 of those things, and you may have done this in the morning and this in the PM. But I just wanted to reaffirm to you that we are looking into those things, but be prepared that pretty much at every level, anyone who brings a concern to the district, media outlets or whatever, we are going to take notice of that. But sometimes I think it's unfair to our employees and to our staff to find out about something after supposedly someone has done their investigation, of which they may not have had all the information really to come up with a conclusive finality. But we are and have been aware of those things, and of course we're dealing with them as we move forward.
Dr. Chargois.
Yes, ma'am.
But there is a protocol, right, and a policy and a procedure when an employee is asked to do extra duties. So am I correct in that, or am I not stating that correctly?
You know what? That's correct.
If I am in the district and I am asking employee A to perform extra duties, can you talk us through that process? What is that process? How does that work?
Well, it can relate from anything from being and you're going to see a lot of that happen here in the next few weeks because we're going to have after-school tutorials. The person may work in ACE, which is very similar to teaching tutorials, but ACE is a little bit more comprehensive. We have people in ACE who may teach food skills or how to bake or how to do whatever. But typically, the program administrator will put out a posting or call for a posting or work with personnel, human relations, and say we need to hire 12 people to run this program or participate in that program. They then apply for that program, of which once that person is selected, a placement sheet is then kept to document potential hours that that person may or may not work. But as you know, with this time now, flu season, a teacher may have been placed on a placement sheet and plans on working 20 hours this week or so many hours this month or so on and so forth. but because their child was ill, she couldn't work 6 hours this week, and she only worked 2. So of course, she would only be paid, what she should be paid for would be the 2 hours and not the total 8. And so program specific, someone may be working in curriculum writing. And of course, they're doing professional level work that may or may not be time sensitive. I mean, there may be a product that needs to be developed. And so 20 hours may be allocated to write curriculum for math, of which, I don't know if any of our math people are out there, but we know they can't write curriculum for 20 hours. But that's all we've been designed or designated or actually budgeted for them to be paid. But that's typically the process at which a person applies for a position that's going to be available after school, summer school writing, whatever that may be, fill out a placement sheet. And then there should be some support, whether it's a time sheet or something that corroborates the amount of hours that the person earned.
Okay, and is there a process where a person who is going to work extra hours, is there someone who approves that time
That should be done.
prior to?
Prior to, so for instance, if I'm the program administrator for ACE, and I've hired each of you as potential employees, then we know, okay, this semester you're gonna work maybe 80 hours.
Okay.
And then so we would authorize, based upon the budget, that you would be eligible, Mr. Williams would be eligible for 80 hours. Now, does he show up for all 80 hours? That's the program administrator's responsibility to have some type of documentation, whether it's a swipe, whether it's a time card, or a signed timesheet that documents his hours.
Okay, I guess, let me just see, because I want to make sure that we're all clear on what it is when we say that we're going to seriously investigate. So there should be a form in place, pre-approved by, I guess, assistant superintendent. There should be a signature
Our
on that.
principal, whoever's in charge.
Principal is saying that I approve this time, it's legitimate, there's work to be done extra. This person is going to perform that work.
Correct.
So in our investigation, what we need to be clear on, and that everybody is clear on, that when we say we seriously investigate these incidents, we want to be clear that we have the document properly filled out and properly signed. Now, if that's not happening, then that is a violation of district policy, and somebody has to be held accountable for that. That is what we're saying.
That's correct. And if there is a violation of district policy, then we move further. But for instance, 2 of the employees, for sure, that I think that were named in that today, I think they may even be present here, but I don't talk about issues in the public, that we have conducted and concluded that they were either appropriately paid or that they were working either 2 or 3 different program types of jobs. And the fact that they have professional or intellectual authority and property to conduct that program, we feel justified in what had been done, at least at this point. Now, of course, there may be more information that comes that we have to consider. But we're pretty well concluded for those 2.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Tom Neal.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Chargois, have we considered someone that has no ties, that's not in-house doing these investigations?
No, sir, I don't think there's any agency that works outside of this. Of course, one of the things that we've done, and let me say this, anyone, be it a parent, be it an employee, has the right to bring an accusation or an allegation. We can use word allegation semantically. If a federal agency or a Texas agency or the U.S. Department of Education, they come and ask, of course, we cooperate with them. And so when there's evidence where those groups or organizations have been brought in, we have fully cooperated, and of course, we welcome their participation. And we welcome our cooperation and the cooperation of our staff. But what we have talked about, or what I have talked about with my lead staff, is possibly including or creating an internal affairs department. So that's something we can do here, where the amount of time that we've been spending in terms of chasing things that people have been saying is taking a lot out of us. And, but I think your point as to will we hire someone outside to do that, maybe not, but we have considered, or I have considered actually trying to create an office of kind of internal affairs, as you may hear with the police department or with some of the government agencies.
Ms. Bush?
Okay, I think we said this a couple of meetings ago, and so I'll say it again. You have said that this board needs to hire an independent auditor who works for the board, not necessarily for the administration, and that reports directly to the board. And I think that if we had something like that already in place, then we can use that auditor to look into situations like this and report directly to the board with findings. I'd feel much more comfortable that you could report it doing that. I think we've talked about it enough to where I think with all the incidents that continue to come up, it just needs credence to the fact that we need to look seriously hard an independent auditor that reports to the board. It's been a recommendation from CRSS, it was a recommendation from TEA when they came down and did their investigation, and I think it's one that we need to seriously consider.
One of the things that I have, Ms. Ambrose and I have been in talks with this just over the past day as we prepared for the meeting. I do appreciate the fact that Jim Rich and some of our Chamber of Commerce have shown some interest in wanting to participate in the process. Because what we want our community to understand is when people do something wrong, of course, we want to correct that and move forward. We want to know, was it just ineptness or ignorance, or were they really just trying to do something wrong? But we're going to be looking at over the next maybe week or so, having a meeting, bringing in some of our local auditors and financiers. Well, they can help participate in a process that we want to create. And I think when we hear from WCL or Bill tonight, you're going to hear about some of those processes that we're putting in place that's going to make it, I think, a whole lot easier for us to manage, and also give an opportunity for our customers and our community to feel better about the processes we have in place to manage their taxpayer resources. So all of those things, of course, are currently at the table.